technology from another developing country.
Because in our policy, we're not charging them for anything. We're going in and we're building these facilities for them. So wouldn't that be good for those countries?
Wouldn't it be smarter to invest in cheaper technology than in expensive technology?
Ladies and gentlemen, under the team line, that everyone should be a winner in today's debate, I, as a second affirmative speaker, will do two things. First, I will make refutations to what the negative side have said in today's debate. And second, I will expand upon what the first speaker on our side has told you in today's debate. Now, let's go into the refutation part of my speech. Now, I have two main refutations to what the first speaker on the negative side has told you in today's debate. The first refutation is this: that they've said that developing nations have a lot of responsibility as well. That they too have a responsibility to develop clean energy by themselves. But I have 3 points of analysis regarding this refutation. First, we would just like to say that these developing nations are incapable of developing green technology or building these clean energy facilities in a wide scale by themselves, because they have no infrastructure and they have no green technology at a great extent. And also, the second point of analysis is this: that they are being misrepresented, ladies and gentlemen. And they said that developing nations have a lot of responsibility as well. But the truth is, if you consider the CO2 emission, the carbon dioxide emissions per capita, 1 Australian pollutes as much as 7 Chinese and 5 Indians, ladies and gentlemen. And we can pretty much say that these developing nations are not as responsible as these developed nations, but they do have some responsibility to some extent. And third point of analysis is this: they said that, we also say that developed nations in the past developed their country, industrialized at the cost or at the expense of the world. They polluted in the past. And we say they have a moral responsibility to help other developing nations to start using green technology or green energy facilities before it's too late, before they turn into dirtier developed countries. And that's what we are saying in today's debate. And the second refutation is this: they said that developing nations already have a lot of clean energy facilities. But I have 2 points of analysis regarding this refutation. The first analysis is this: we want both the developing nations and also the developed nations to have clean energy facilities within their nations. So just because developing nations have some clean energy facilities within their nation, that doesn't mean we don't want the developed nations to have more clean energy facilities within their nation. The second point of analysis is this: they said, we just want to say that just because China has some solar panels within their nations or on their grounds, that doesn't mean that South Africa, India, Brazil, and other developing nations have a lot of solar panels within their nations. So now that I'm done with my refutation, I would like to expand upon what the first speaker has told you in today's debate. Now, first, I would like to talk more about the image in today's debate. Now, our first speaker talked kind of fast, and he kind of did not elaborate a lot upon the image argument. Now, first, I'd like to talk about the image. Now, what is so good about our policy? The image for both the developed nations and the developing nations. So let's talk about the developed nations' image. Now, they are building these clean energy facilities within developing nations. Clean energy that is good for the environment. So people would perceive these developed nations as the helper or the people who love the environment, building clean energy facilities for free within developing nations. And we can pretty much say that the developed nations have an incentive because they will have a good image among the public. And also, what's good for the developing nations? What about the image of the developing nations? What they will do is that they will have clean energy facilities, and they will, instead of using fossil fuels and those other energy sources that pollute the environment, they will use clean energy facilities that does not pollute the environment, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what we want in today's debate. Good image for both the developed nations and the developing nations. And also, I would just further expand upon the benefit argument. Now, there is an incentive for the developed nations. We're not saying the developed nations should just build a clean energy facility within these developing nations and just leave them and do not get any benefit. We're saying that developed nations will get payback. The profit earned by these clean energy facilities, providing electricity to factories. We say that developed nations will get some profit gained from providing electricity to factories, and we could pretty much say that they have an incentive to build clean energy facility within developing nations. And also, we say this is why in today's debate, we're saying that everybody is a winner. Now, don't you just love that? You, everybody is a winner. Don't you just love that? Thank you.
I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, you said that one Australian pollutes as much as 5 Chinese or something.
7 Chinese.
7 Chinese. Okay. So what should Australia do? Cut its own emissions or cut Chinese emissions?
How about doing both?
When you have limited money, what should you do? Cut your own emissions?
The thing is, Australia already has basic infrastructure to build clean energy facilities. So as long as since they have the capacity to build clean energy facilities, we can pretty much say that Australia can, help developing nations, help them with, building clean energy facilities within their nation. Why not?
Okay. Do you like coffee?
Depends, If I'm just too depressed, I don't drink coffee. But
Okay. Do you like tea? What do you like to drink?
just water would be fine.
Okay, water. Would you pay $2 or $10 for the same bottle of water?
Well, it depends on how much money I've got.
So, but would you pay $2 or $10 for the same bottle of water?
Same bottle of water?
The same product. Would you pay $2 or $10?
Well, how could same bottle of water be $2 and $10 at the same time when I'm in the same store?
Okay. You said that. Okay, thank you. You said that CO2 emissions that global warming is a global problem.
So first people said yes. It has the word global in it.
Okay, so it's a global problem. If developing countries cut emission in their own countries, wouldn't that be effective for the environment? And
that too, and as well as developing nations.
Okay, and wouldn't that be enough to create a good image if they are cutting emissions in their own country?
But we just want good image for both the developed and developing nations in today's debate, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, thank you. If developed countries invest in developing countries, would that mean that developing countries could take the money they saved and invest it in something else?
The developing nations?
Yeah, the developing nations.
Well, they could use the money they gained.
Not the money they give. So, developed countries invest in developing countries. So they give some sort of money or something like that. So
no, they
that
don't
means,
give money. They build facilities.
That means that developing countries save resources.
Resources as in what?
Money, technology, whatever you are talking about. So they save.
Yeah, they could save some resources.
Would that mean that they could invest these resources in something else?
They could invest those resources into green technology.
So, in green technology. So if